Lillard into the paint, turns, swings it to Aminu, makes a tremendous catch, back to Dame, raising and hits! Damian Lillard from the outer limits, reels in a three.
Oh my goodness!
Shocking!
Before Saturday's rematch, Damian Lillard received the NBA Cares Assist of the Month award. And he continued right where he left off on Thursday night. Hot quarters, a theme on Saturday. Damian Lillard, 15 in the first. Portland needed every single one of them to keep it tight. Still in the first. Kevin Durant.
Can't stop that guy.
The big three for the Warriors with a balanced attack. Steph Curry a part of that. Klay Thompson is the one that's been missing a bit in that category.
He was back tonight. Splash Brothers back tonight, baby.
5 of 27 from 3 in his last 5 games, Klay Thompson.
KD getting in on the action, 25 points for him into the first half. Check out Andre Iguodala. Now this looks like a play you see a lot in the NBA, right? Just a heave, but you see the buzzer went off way before that. He's ejected for this, called a hostile act.
Well, and he's nowhere near the basket, and the officials are there. They have a feel for the pulse of the game, and you just have to assume that they understood, as Kevin Calabro said, the game was on slow burn all night, and they had to do what they had to do to take control.
You know who wasn't on slow burn?
Klay Thompson.
That guy, he was burning.
He had the steady flow.
He was straight hibachi tonight.
Yes, he was. What you know about that, Griff?
I know a little something. I've paid a little attention.
You know the 40 club, as in 40 points in the game? Put Damian Lillard down
Dance!
for that group.
Wow, what a move, even better finish.
Griff, I like how you reenacted it for us.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, they call it performance art.
So is that. Performance art from Klay Thompson. Like, I missed you. Talking to his hand. And when you have a game like that, 32 points, leading the Warriors in scoring, and leading to a 10-point win, guess what? You're the guy doing the interview after the game with Kareth Burke. 21 shots for Klay Thompson, 4 for 5 from three-point range. Brendan, how did he get it going?
Well, I think a lot of it is just his constant movement. The ball was able to find him, and that's the thing with Klay Thompson. He can get hot at any time, and he doesn't need a lot of dribbles. You see him here moving constantly without the ball, searching, looking for a spot, finds it, quick pull up, gets the shooter's roll. Now you see Klay in transition. Nurkic goes to sleep, follows his man on the rim run. Klay fills in the transition, nobody picks him up. Now a nice back cut, pops back around, gets the ball in the corner, quick swipe through, pulls up for the baseline jumper, and now once again, walks right into the post, then circles right off a pin down, nice spot up jumper. He is constant motion offensively. He can get it done off the dribble, but he doesn't choose to play like that. He is constantly moving, whether he's in the post, whether he's running off pin downs, whether it's transition, whether it's spotting up. Klay Thompson is always a threat. He's always moving, and he makes sure the defense's eyes are always on him. The moment that you go to sleep, he takes off on you. He sprints to the other side of the court and gets a wide open three.
And the other underappreciated thing about Klay when he is making shots, he's big. Yeah. He's legit 6'7". A lot of those clips that we showed, they're getting a good contest on Klay. He's just rising up over the top. If you're a Golden State Warriors fan, one of the things you have to feel best about with this team, despite everything that they've been through, this guy is due for one of those regression to the mean type of runs. He entered the year as a 42% three-point shooter. He's just 5 of 27 coming into this game. He goes 4 of 5. So I did some quick math. Okay. In order for him to get 25 of 60 to reach that over his next 5 games, he's going to have to make 16 of 28 threes. There are very few people in the NBA that I can say this about. Klay Thompson can make 16 of 28 in games against anybody in this league. And I loved him looking at his hand because it's almost like he let himself off the hook. He's just going to enjoy the experience now. And I think this whole Warriors team, you can see that they've been wearing the crown very heavily. And tonight's game, the emotion from Iguodala, another sign of that.
Yeah, you mentioned that emotion because there was a tension to this one after losing that overtime game. Draymond Green, Yusuf Nurkic both had technical fouls. Terry Stotts, Damian Lillard got it towards the end of the game. But this Andre Iguodala moment doesn't seem like much, but when you factor in the equation all those other things, there's a reason he got ejected.
Well, and again, it comes on the heels of several different things that the officials were watching. Nurk giving the stare down to Draymond 2 different times leading up to that point. They really did have to have a feel for the pulse of the game for these 2 games in collective, and they could feel that it was heading a bad direction, and I think did what they felt they had to do to take control of the game.
I think the officials simply felt that they had to clean the game up and thought it was going in a different direction, and they wanted to reel it back in, let everybody know, hey, we're not going to let this thing spiral too far out of control. I think that's part of the reason why Iguodala was thrown out.
We have 2 themes tonight, hot quarters and also the 40-point club. I think we got 2 of those in this one. Jamal Murray.
Ooh.
So hot he could heat the Suns up.
All right, I see what you did there. How many he ended up with tonight, Chris?
A career high 9 3-pointers.
And that's how many did he go for, though?
46.
All right, now.
That's not 50.
Hey, don't, he better not go for 50.
We said the 40
He better not go for
club.
50. Kyrie might jump into the highlight.
Stay home, Kyrie. It's not 50.
Remember that hot quarters thing? Also the other theme? DeAndre Ayton. Guess how many points he had in the second quarter? You go first, Brennan.
15.
What do you think, Griff?
24.
I feel like Griff cheated on this particular exam because he got that exactly right. 24 points in the second quarter.
That's strong.
For the number 1
Was he
pick
guarded
in the
on
draft.
any of them?
Who cares? Get it done, big fella.
33 points, 14 rebounds. We move to the fourth quarter, and here's Jamal Murray putting the Nuggets ahead by 16, but we continue our theme of hot quarters.
The 2 teams apparently agreed on no rim protection tonight.
Whoa, okay. Did he just pull out a Kareem skyhook? Booker
More
has
like-
everything in the bag.
More like magic on that one, right?
Whoever. I didn't know Booker had the skyhook in his game.
Well, the fourth quarter belonged to him. 27 points, 8 assists. TJ Warren added 22, and it's a 5-point game, but the Joker not playing games.
That's a nice little floater right there to finish him off.
23 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, close to a triple-double for Nikola Jokic as the Nuggets hold on to win 122-118. So Jamal Murray being a part of the 40-point club on Saturday, he was incredible. And he's the kind of guy that when he gets it going like that for Denver, he's that scorer that they need to carry that load.
Yeah, and I think what happens with Denver, it's not a coincidence that Jokic nearly has the triple-double on the night that Jamal Murray really gets rolling. Because the vast majority of the time, Jokic is setting everyone up. They're relying on his ability to be a playmaker and a passer and cutting Jamal loose to be a scorer, and it works out very well for them. But it's very rare that you'll see Jamal have a big scoring night and Jokic not be the one who's giving him the vast majority of the love.
Yeah, the thing about Jamal is that he plays off Jokic incredibly well. And that works for this team because when Jamal and Gary Harris are healthy, they're both more like combo guards, and the Joker has more of the point guard feel. So it's a perfect fit. I don't think Denver could have put it together any better if they tried. And Jamal tonight was absolutely on fire. He has that three-point ability. He can put it on the floor. And then he has that confidence. He has that swagger that allows him to get hot because he believes in himself like no other.
Second straight week, we're looking at the Denver Nuggets with the best record in the West. It seems as if through injuries, they're able to play and play at their best. I mean, Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, when you go down the list, I mean, technically Isaiah Thomas or Michael Porter Jr. They're playing through injuries with guys who aren't taking the court or getting hurt during the season and still on top of the West.
Yeah, and here we are in Mike Malone's 4th year as the head coach there, and you can tell that what he's attempting to do, although these highlights tonight in the Suns game were not indicative of that, you can tell that what he's trying to do on the defensive end has taken hold as well. They have come light years from where they were at one point. I hate to use that phrase, but they've come so far in the time that Malone has been the coach that you can see it, and specifically in Jokic himself. He was a very poor defender at one time in his career, and he is now, at least analytically, a real lift for that team on that side of the ball.
Well, what's interesting is when you mention defense and you think of fourth quarters, 2 names could come to mind. Kevin Garnett and Jimmy Butler had a conversation about why Jimmy wanted to get out of Minnesota. That's very interesting. And James Harden, the leader of that 40-point club for the Houston Rockets against the Pelicans. It's one you saw right here on NBA TV. That's coming up next on Game Time. As you just saw, the Washington Wizards beat the Charlotte Hornets without the services of John Wall. He is out the rest of the season. The Wizards announced that during the game. He'll have left heel surgery, expected to miss 6 to 8 months. Wall averaging 21 points, 9 assists a game, just under those numbers actually. Played 32 games this season after playing just 41 games last season. Chris Miles, David Griffin, Brendan Hayward here with you. Griff, if you're the Wizards, and now you're looking forward, you have yourself a situation considering Wall's season has been cut short the last 2 years in a row.
Well, I mean, in the NBA, and Brendan, you know this very well, adversity is a given. It's an absolute lock. You will face it. And the decisions you make and the way you choose to deal with it is optional. And what I think you saw Washington do tonight is rise up in the face of great adversity and let this injury spate that they've had. Several players, you heard them talk about it earlier, John Wall, Markieff Morris, Dwight Howard, Otto Porter, all out. And they still decided that they cared enough to rise up and compete. And that's what you have to do. And there's a very decent likelihood that this injury to John Wall galvanizes this group. And we'll see the best basketball they've played if they can get a healthy Otto Porter and a healthy Markieff Morris. And I think that's what they're counting on right now.
I'm looking at this team, looking at the stats.
Oh, boy.
Color him skeptical is what this means.
No. 35 assists tonight. 35 assists.
Are we getting back to the everybody eats thing? Is that where you're going with this, Brendan?
I didn't say that. somewhere out there, maybe in L.A., maybe Marcin Gortat wants to tweet that tonight. I didn't say that. I see 35 assists. 9 from Ariza, 7 from Green, 3 from Bryant, 5 from Beal. 24 points for Ariza, 13 for Green, 21 for Bryant, 19 for Beal, 20 for Satoransky. You're seeing the ball move around and not just be in one guy's hands. And I'm not saying that this team is better without John Wall. I don't believe that. But I've always believed that John could learn something when he was out from watching how the team moves the ball when he's not there. And I think this team is going to, like you said, is going to use this as a rallying cry, a rallying point that, hey, we can do this. And right now there's no pressure. See, when John's there, there's the pressure of we have to win, we have to win.
And they're not enjoying the process of playing together.
If this team comes back and makes a playoff run in the Eastern Conference, and the bottom of the East can be had, like you can go on you don't have to be a great team to sneak into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It would not surprise me at all if this Washington Wizards team put it together, especially as they got healthier and they start getting some more bodies. I'm going to be very interested to see how this turns out.
And you said put it together, though. We need a stamp on that. Put it together and
make the playoffs. I'm not expecting anything more than that. I think when you look at the way the season started, the turmoil with injury, if this team makes it to the playoffs, that would be somewhat of a mini success. Now, you still have some questions about the future, and especially if the team makes it to the playoffs after being 10 games under 500, the Wizards really, it's a blessing and a curse because now management is like, okay, so this team is really playing well without John. What do we do? And no one is taking that contract, especially coming off an injury.
Well, it's fascinating because their margin for error is much less now. And with all of these injuries, I said before, I think it could get worse before it gets better. Tonight's a big win. You're not always going to rally quite like that down that many bodies. But Thomas Bryant tonight, you mentioned the 35 assists. I don't know the actual number of screen assists Thomas Bryant had, but Thomas Bryant is playing the role Marcin Gortat played, which was to be an elite screener, to be physical and to be a presence. They're going to be able to get the best of these guys because emotionally now they're in a different place. You said it, there's no pressure. They no longer have to have that feel of, gosh, this doesn't quite feel right. This is heavy. This gives you spiritual rebirth, and in the Eastern Conference, you've got the room for that.
And there are guys that aren't in the starting lineup right now that are getting the opportunity to play. Let's talk about their first-round draft pick, Troy Brown, who spent time in the G League, who hasn't been able to crack significant minutes in the NBA. He gets 18 minutes, scores 9 points, and really contributes. This allows the opportunity for guys like that to get in and play.
Yeah, and frankly, in the previous game, Troy Brown not playing any minutes at all was staggering. The way that they were playing the rotations with Decker and Randall and Baker and not giving Troy Brown an opportunity was shocking in and of itself. But now this really does put an onus on the organization that if they're going to be in this situation, it's all hands on deck. And in a worst case scenario, let's develop Troy and see what we have at the end. And also, to your point about the deal not being movable, the one thing you know for sure, if Otto Porter comes back healthy, he's much closer to earning the money he gets paid currently when he gets to be ball dominant and make plays for other people. So you may find hidden value here because of this injury.
I totally agree. Otto Porter really has a chance to shine when he comes back. We saw last year he was a little bit better when John wasn't there just because he got the ball. He got a chance to do some more things. And the more you touch the ball and the more shot attempts you get, the more confidence you get. And some guys are better when they have that confidence. Some guys, they can just check in the game and chuck up a couple of threes and feel fine. A lot of players aren't like that. They're rhythm guys. Otto needs to get into a rhythm. Without John, it seems like he gets into that.
Were you a rhythm guy, Chris? Were you a chuck it up?
When you in Harlem, what type of basketball player were you? When you on the streets of Harlem, son?
No, let's be real.
Your son.
Okay, I was not very good. I could handle and I could pass. So what I did to make teams, I would become friends with people like you, Brendan.
Okay.
I'm just going to find the big fella, and he's going to score. And then when I would roll around, it's all the big fellas, and I'm the little guy.
Offset, I love his tales of basketball from his days in Harlem. The mean streets of Harlem.
Shout out to Kyle Cuffey. That was my big fella that I used to roll with. You know, he's not quite 7 feet like you, but
I think that
got some
means he was
buckets.
a heartless gunner. That's what I heard.
Possibly.
John Wall reportedly needs surgery on his heel. The 5-time All-Star will be out the next 6 to 8 months. Again, he missed 41 games last season. John Wall has been battling this injury, averaging 21 points, 9 assists so far this year. Here is head coach Scott Brooks.
Met with the specialist today in Green Bay, and he is likely to have surgery, and that will be season ending. But as we speak, doctors and multiple specialists, along with our doctors, are conferring, and we'll have more details later. That's the news.
Well, that's confirmation from what we heard earlier. Again, that makes it official that John Wall will miss the rest of the year. So what does that do for the Washington Wizards going forward the rest of this year? 10 games below 500.
Well, I look at it a couple different ways. In the immediate short term, it could get a lot worse before it gets better because there's no Otto Porter. There's no Markieff Morris. They're incredibly shorthanded. What it does do, though, is it puts an onus on Scott Brooks to start to play Troy Brown. Troy had 9 points in his first 11 minutes tonight. He got the opportunity and was ready for that moment. He's a kid who can make some plays for them on both sides of the floor, somebody they invested a first-round pick in because of the makeup of his overall game, and now's a really good opportunity to turn to him and see what he can give you. If you end up choosing to tank, building around the young guys is something you're going to need to do, and you're going to give Troy Brown an opportunity. But I think what this team will do is wait for Otto Porter and Markieff Morris to get healthy and hope that they can resemble the version of themselves that went 15-12 in John's absence last year.
I'm not really sure where they go from that because this team is a little bit different than they were last year. Like you obviously said, you have some guys that are hurt right now. They're going to need them to step up. I'm not sure how the team is going to respond. They did respond well last year, but this is a different ball club. Otto Porter's not healthy. Kelly Oubre is no longer around. We'll see how it pans out, but this looks like it's going to be a very disappointing season for everybody in D.C., the Washington Wizards as a whole, their fan base. I just think this is going to be a disappointing season. They had high hopes coming into the year, and it seems like the Wizards always have high hopes because this backcourt is so talented, but for some reason or another, whether it's poor play, whether it's injuries, whether it's lack of focus, this team just doesn't come together, and I'm not sure where they go from here.
Well, in that graphic that we just had up, you see that they're actually better when John doesn't play on the defensive side of the ball. That's completely counterintuitive when you look at the physical gifts John has. And they've never really put it together as a defensive team. It's never really been their identity. And they had the pieces this year coming into the season that I thought that would be what they became.
Certainly something to monitor for the Washington Wizards is how they go forward and who gets more playing time. Right now, they're ahead of the Charlotte Hornets at the break. Bradley Beal has been leading the scoring charge, 26 points per game in the month of December. Wizards ahead by 6.